Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Pretty Little Liars Season 5, Episode 11, No One Here Can Love or Understand Me. And of course, this was the last episode before the mid-season finale, and this episode payoff, yes, it definitely did pay off. There was some stuff in this episode that I really liked. One of the things I actually really liked about this episode was this episode didn't focus as much on the A situation. Yes, it did, but a lot of it focused a lot more on their lives and what's going on in their lives and, things like that. That's pretty much what it focused on, like, throughout most of the episode, and I actually really like that they did that. I like that it focused a lot more on their lives. I thought that was definitely very well done, in my opinion, and I really appreciated that. I really thought that was good. Probably one of the things I like most about the episode is that it didn't focus as much on the whole A thing. It did, but there was other stuff that focused on as well. So, basically, of course, the episode starts off with the way it ended last week. If you remember last week, Emily was going to the police station. Emily and all the liars, they were going out of the police station to basically, tell the truth to Detective Tanner. And they're about to do that and, tell her everything about Shauna. And then but then they see this huge TV screen flashing pictures of Allie in a nurse's suit the day she visited Hannah in the hospital. And we see this message from A that comes across screen and says, "We're all in this together, A," and basically act normal, bitches. And they realize that they can't tell the police the truth because no one will believe they didn't know Allison was alive after photos surfaced of her visiting Hannah over 2 years ago. So, obviously, this is not going to work. They're realizing they need more stuff, because this is obviously not going to work for them, and they need more stuff to, make sure this can work, because clearly this is not going to work, which makes sense. I mean, how, you say one thing and then another thing happen, I mean, it just doesn't make sense, really. So Emily and Spencer, they're heading to the brew for coffee, and Allie blows up their phones. By the way, Allie apparently left town, claiming her dad's taking her out of town for a few days because he's very nervous about the kidnapper. So Allie's on the episode the whole time, and honestly, I thought that was a good thing to do, because having Allie not be in this episode actually was a good thing, because it focused more on their lives rather than Allie controlling their lives, I thought that was just very interesting because, most of the episodes this season have been about protecting Allie's lie, protecting Allie's lies, protecting Allie's lies, things like that. However, this episode really did not focus on that. This episode focused a lot more on their relationships, basically. And Hannah heads over to Caleb's house, and he's sleeping on the couch and everything, and she walks in, and Caleb jumps awake and says that she scared him, and she finds a half-drinking bottle of liquor next to him, and he says that he drinks when he can't sleep, and Hannah tells him that they couldn't go to the police because they have seen the pictures of Allie leaving Hannah's hospital room. So basically, that's what ends up happening there. So Emily then shows up on Ezra's doorstep and says that she needs to talk to him, like, right now. She just has to. So Ari arrives at home, and she finds Mona in the living room with her brother Mike, and Mona offers, obviously Ari is still not happy about the whole Mike and Mona thing. I like that we revisited this storyline, because I think the last time we really saw this storyline was, I'd say, episode 2. I mean, we really haven't focused on it since then, and I like that they focused on it here. I definitely enjoyed that. Mona offers her some hot chocolate. Arya says no and ends up storming off, and, yeah, so that's what ended up happening there. So obviously, Arya was pretty pissed off of that. So Emily fills Ezra in on Ali's kidnapper confession. She asks him if he ever heard the name Cyrus Petrillo when she was researching, and he hasn't. He says that he will look into it for her, and thanks to Emily for trusting him. Obviously, he really does want to help them, but he doesn't know who this Cyrus Petrillo person is, and, I mean, seriously, Cyrus Petrillo doesn't, he just doesn't know who Cyrus Petrillo is, so he really wants to help, but he doesn't really know who Cyrus Petrillo is, so until he finds out who that is, obviously he can't help. So, the next day at school, Arya fills them on Mike and Mona's relationship, and Hannah actually has a theory. And basically the theory is that the A message they got last night, warning them not to come clean the police, was actually from Allie, not from A. That does kind of make sense if you think about it. Because if you think about it, it didn't seem like an A message. We're all in this together, we're all in this together, act normal. It does make sense because if Allie sent that message out, it makes sense because, she doesn't want them, she wants them to act normal and not seem suspicious about anything. I think that's what she was trying to say. Because Allie was actually ready to tell all to them. You know, I'm pretty sure if Allie was in town, she would probably tell all to them. So it does make sense, because it could be Allie basically saying to them, hey, you know, just tell the truth, don't act suspicious, and yeah, that's how it's gonna work, you know. But Allie at the same time doesn't want them to tell the truth, so maybe she's trying to say there that, you know, we're all in this together, act normal, and don't seem suspicious, basically. I don't know what she's trying to say there, but yeah, that was definitely very interesting. So Emily sits down with Paige in the quad, and she's, you know, Emily really wants to patch things up with Paige, because she really felt bad about what happened with Paige, because of course she defended Allie because of Paige. You know, Paige was against Allie, and Emily was defending Allie because of this. And basically, Emily sits down with Paige in the quad and tells her they have to keep an eye on Sydney because she is working with Jenna. And Emily says she wants to talk to Paige about them, and they make plans to meet up with each other later. And yeah, that's what they're gonna do. So Hannah now wants to get Caleb help because his drinking is getting out of hand, and Spencer says she has an idea, basically calls Toby at police school for help because, you know, Toby's becoming a police officer, and he agrees to come over later, and she finds a note in her bedroom from Melissa. Now, of course, we know, you know, that the episode ended with Melissa saying, I have to tell you something. So when she found that note, I was like, okay, she's obviously going to find out the truth, like, really soon. And basically, Melissa wrote this note that says, you know, have to write this quickly, you know, basically, she had to write it quickly because their dad was taking them to the airport, and, you know, you'll know the truth soon. So, that was definitely very interesting, and Spencer and Hannah, they're obviously very confused because they have no idea why Spencer's dad will make Melissa leave town. They don't know why Melissa would just leave town like that, because there's nothing going on between them, so obviously there's something she's not telling them there, so they're obviously very confused. So then we see Hannah fills Ari and Emily on the mysterious letter from Melissa, and while they are discussing whether Allie made a deal with A, Detective Tanner interrupts them, and she says that she needs to talk to all three of them. Obviously, a very big thing. So Spencer and Toby are at the Hastings house, and Spencer brings up Caleb and says that he won't stop drinking, and says that he drinks so he can sleep, and Spencer can tell Caleb is different. She says that he looks haunted, and Toby says that he had that look since he came back from Ravenswood. Now, of course, he looks haunted, obviously, because we know why he looks haunted, because he saw the girl that was supposed to be the love of his life die right in front of him, obviously. So that's why he's so haunted. It makes so much sense, because, you know, he has felt this way he has felt that way since Miranda basically just disappeared and died, and he stopped seeing her. So obviously, he hasn't really come clean to Hannah about that either, so, you know, he has not come clean to her about it, and I think that's really why he looks so haunted, because he hasn't come clean to her about it yet. So, yeah, so basically that's what they want to do. So, Detective Tanner reassures the liars that they're going to catch Cyrus, and instructs them to be safe and call the police if they see him, and she asks them who they think killed Bethany Young, and she reminds them that she was killed 30 yards away from where they were all sleeping. And, yeah, the liars, they all shudder, they have no idea, and Detective Tanner obviously isn't buying it, so they're not listening to what got sent to them, and, yeah, so she obviously is not buying it. And then we get probably one of the most important scenes of the episode, because Spencer receives this package in the mail from Melissa. Now, of course, I knew when she received that package is going to contain the video, and yes, it does. And we see that video that basically says, you know, Melissa says, that she is right, she has to tell her the truth, and basically, here's what's gonna happen. Their dad is taking her to the airport, she's going back to England, but she has to tell her the truth, you know, she has to tell her what actually happened, and we finally find out what she said to Spencer's dad, you know, because if you remember, the Season 4 finale ended with Melissa whispering something into Spencer's dad's ear. We didn't know what she said, but we find out what she said right here, and I love that we found out what she said. She says, basically, that she saw Spencer the night that Allie disappeared. She saw that she was fighting with her. She had a shovel in her hand, and she saw the body, and she thought, and Melissa basically thought that she had killed Allison with that shovel. And she didn't want anybody to know, and she couldn't look at her face, so she pushed her in, covered her up, and of course, you know, that was Bethany Young. That wasn't Allie. That was Bethany Young. So she didn't tell anyone what she did or what she thought she did. So now that she knows it's not Allison, she wasn't dead, you know, she ended up burying her alive. So, yes, Melissa is the one that buried Bethany, you know, basically, Allie, Melissa's the one that ended up burying Allie, so I thought that was definitely a very great reveal. I love that it happened, but I do love that Melissa was basically innocent, pretty much, in the whole time. She was just a little confused at what was happening. I did like that, definitely. I thought that was definitely very, very good, and I really did enjoy that scene. Thought that was definitely very good. Really good stuff there. So then we see Spencer, Toby, Hannah, they all meet Caleb at the grill. Obviously, they're very concerned about him because they think he has a very bad drinking problem at this point. And Hannah basically has staged an intervention. Now, Toby is trying to talk to him, but Caleb doesn't want to hear it. He snaps and says, "Who died and made you Oprah?" And I don't blame Caleb. I mean, he's really, if you think about it, Caleb's gone through a lot, really, if you think about it. He's lost, he's lost the girl that was supposed to be love of his life. He's not in a relationship with Hannah right now. He sort of is. He's sort of with Hannah. I don't know what's going on there. I think they're in a relationship. They're kind of not. I really don't know. Hannah's going through a lot. He's going through all this shit with A. He still doesn't know almost everything. He doesn't know everything that's going on in Ravenswood. He doesn't realize that Miranda is out somewhere in Ravenswood with another Caleb. He doesn't realize that. So, obviously, Caleb's going through a lot of shit right now. So, I don't blame Caleb for getting upset about this. Obviously. So Emily's working at the brew, and she runs into Paige, and Paige is all dressed up, and Emily asks her where she's going, but Paige doesn't answer. She says that she has to go, and Aria then heads to the theater where she planned to have a family date, and she arrives, but she arrives when she's annoyed to see that Ella canceled, because Ella and Byron are planning on taking her on a, little family date, basically. And Mona ended up coming in her place, and Aria sees Paige arrive at the theater with another girl before the lights go out. So then we see, back to the scene without the Caleb, and we see Caleb apparently gave in, heads over to a corner of the grill to talk to Toby, Spencer, and Hannah, of the grill to talk to, and basically, Toby, Spencer, and Hannah watch from a distance, and they think that they are making progress. So Toby reminds Caleb that he has been to Ravenswood, and he knows what it is like, and Caleb informs him he doesn't, and I really like this next scene. Toby's trying to get through to Caleb here, and, Caleb informs him he doesn't know anything, storms out of the grill, and at the theater, Arya whispers something in Mona's ear, and when no one is looking, Mona looks upset and storms out. So obviously, Arya said something to, obviously, offend Mona or hurt her or something like that. She obviously made her upset. So, Emily then meets up with Ezra, and he shows her pictures he got of Allie and Cyrus standing together and talking after she returned to Rosewood. And it's obvious that she's not afraid of him, like she told the liars. So Ezra says that he did a background check on Cyrus, and he has several aliases and half a dozen arrest records. So yeah, that's definitely very big. He has that, that's very interesting. So, basically, because we know that Allie and Cyrus, they used to know each other, they used to date and things like that, so, of course, Emily doesn't trust Allie right now. None of them trust Allie right now, so I thought that was definitely very interesting. Now, this next scene, I loved. I love this next scene because all season long, I have thought that Mona was this very creepy person, very eerie person that you didn't want to see. And in this episode, we actually saw a humanized version of Mona. We got to see Mona upset, vulnerable. It made me like her character more. It really did. It made me kind of realize that maybe Mona has changed. Last week kind of made me think this, and especially after this week, I think it's pretty much official that we can say that Mona has changed, definitely. Because basically, Arya's hanging in the bathroom and Mona is crying. And Mona admits that Arya's family should hate her and she doesn't. And I really like this. Mona says, "Oh, I don't deserve Mike." She says she wishes that she had just died when she fell off that cliff. And, Arya says to her, "Never say that." And Mona says that she has just been trying to protect herself and that's all she has ever tried to do. And, that's just very, very big there. All Mona wants to do is protect herself. And Mona warns Arya that when Allie is finished with her, she's going to come after the rest of the liars, especially since they know about Cyrus and what really happened in New York, obviously. And it makes sense, definitely. And after Mona says this, definitely Allie is not to be trusted. We know that right now. We know that after the scene that Allie really is not to be trusted because she's coming after the liars. So, that definitely is very big. And I really like that scene because of the fact that we really saw that Mona is innocent here. She is not the this episode really wrapped up characters and, who's innocent, who's not. And this one really made me, this really showed me that Mona has changed, definitely. Mona has definitely changed, and she is definitely not the girl that she once was. She's not creepy anymore. Especially in that scene, she was not creepy anymore. I thought that was definitely very good. The actress that played Mona, very good acting there. I really enjoyed that. So Spencer heads home and watches the video from Melissa over and over. She's crying because she can't believe that Melissa thought she had killed Allie. And she says, poor Melissa, out loud. She cries and she's talking to her computer screen. And it's understandable why she's doing that, definitely, because she was very affected by what happened in Rosewood, obviously. She was very affected by what happened that night. And that's definitely very interesting. So Ari and Byron, they're heading home from the movie theater, and Mike is taking Mona home, and there's a knock on the door, and Byron says that it's Detective Tanner. And he got a voicemail from her earlier saying she wanted to talk. Now, Byron lets Tanner in and confronts her about talking to liars without any adults present. Basically, Tanner wants to do this because it's her job to talk to all the parents of all the girls. And basically, Tanner says that there are so many smart people involved in her case. Her job is getting more and more interesting. And she says that the Ravenswood police are interested in Ari, and she might not have committed murder, but she has made her case more complicated and, definitely more interesting. So Tanner says that one of the girls has come forward and wants to tell her the truth, and she is meeting with her tomorrow. And Byron asks which girl, but Tanner refuses to tell him and leaves, and Ari hides around the corner, listening to their entire conversation. So that's really big, definitely, of which girl it might be. Now, I'm thinking that it's going to be Allie, because Allie, she did not want to do this, and I'm thinking I'm definitely thinking that Allie could definitely be a possible suspect of who could be doing that, definitely. I definitely think that Allie could definitely be a suspect there. So Ari, Spencer, and Hannah, they all meet up, and they're trying to figure out which girl's going to tell Tanner the truth. And they realize that it must be Allie, obviously. So, because they're not stupid here, Emily decides that they should use the picture Ezra gave of Allie and Cyrus to stop them from talking to the police. And Spencer announces that she has to show them something. Now, when she said that, obviously we know what she's going to show them. She's going to show them the video of Melissa. That's what she's going to show them. So, basically, then we see a very good scene. I really love this. We finally, Caleb finally fills Hannah on everything that happened in Ravenswood, because he never really told her the truth. He never told her fully everything what happened in Ravenswood, and he finally does tell her. He warns her that there is a whole other world out there, and he even confesses to seeing Miranda after she died, and he's very scared that when he sleeps, he's going to see Miranda and tell him that she is not okay, and it's all his fault. And, of course, Miranda really haunted him. Even though he really does love Miranda, she really did haunt him, and, he's just very worried that something bad's gonna happen, definitely, that he's very worried about that. So Hannah reassures Caleb that they're gonna get through this and kisses him. And so, yeah, they brought back the Ravenswood storyline, and I was so happy when this happened. I'm like, yes, they finally brought back the Ravenswood storyline, they finally addressed it, and I was very happy they did that, because here's the thing about the Ravenswood storyline that I'm really looking forward to. I'm really hoping that now this finale is next week, that they are going to wrap up the Ravenswood storyline next week, because I think that next week would be the perfect time to do it, especially what just happened here. If we can see one more appearance from Miranda, I really would enjoy that, definitely. But, you guys know I really loved Ravenswood. You guys know that. You guys know I was a huge fan of Ravenswood, and I really loved it, and I was sad to see it go, but I was glad they brought it back here, definitely, because I really do love that show. I really did love that show. I thought it was great. So then Spencer, Emily, and Ari, they're all finishing watching the video from Melissa, and they're all in shock. Now, Spencer has another theory. Melissa thought that Bethany was Allie because she was wearing her yellow shirt, and she thinks that Allie had been planning for Bethany to take her place that night all along. Now, that doesn't really make sense, obviously, and what's really going on there. So, now I'm thinking that they're pretty much now think that Allie is A. However, I don't think Allie is A. I think that is just way too predictable, in my opinion. And basically, the episode ends with Caleb sleeping on the couch. Someone is watching him from outside, and someone is watching him from outside of his window, and that's how the episode ends. Now, who do I think is watching him from his window? Miranda. I think Miranda's back. I think Miranda has come back to Caleb, and that's what's going to happen in the next episode. I think Miranda is the one that is watching Caleb, because here's the thing. He is now come forward about the Ravenswood thing, and of course, Caleb can see Miranda whenever he wants to. Miranda's a ghost, and she can come to him whenever she wants, so I'm thinking that definitely Miranda is the one watching Caleb. I'm definitely thinking that's what's happening there. But this episode was amazing. Love this episode. By far the best episode of the season. So much good shit in this episode. So much shit went down this episode. Let's talk about some theories. Okay. I do not think Allie is A. I do not think Allie is A. I don't think she's A. Now, this is a theory that does not make sense, but it might make sense. Now, I'm thinking if they want to wrap up this Ravenswood storyline, Possibly someone from Ravenswood might be A. You know, Miranda, Olivia, that other kid whose name I'm blanking on, Remy, those people. Are we going to see them again? I'm interested if we're going to see them again next week. I really want them to wrap up this Ravenswood storyline. And, you know, the creator of the show has hinted that they might actually wrap it up, and I really hope they do, because you guys know I loved Ravenswood. I thought it was a great little show there. I thought it was a fantastic show, definitely. Really sad to see it go. I really was hoping it, you know, could have been a, you know, really bigger hit, but it wasn't. As far as Allie being A, again, I don't think that Allie's A. I think that's much too easy to figure out. I think what's going to happen is Allie wants to turn herself in, and she's going to do it when it's a little bit too late. I think that's what's going to happen, because Allie basically is going to turn herself in when she feels like it. That's what's going to happen here, is that Allie's going to turn herself in when she feels like it. That's what's going to happen here. Also, did you guys like that they really showed that, Mona and Mike, you know, do you like that they showed that she is actually to be trusted? I like seeing that, definitely. I really enjoyed seeing that Mona, we can trust her. I really did enjoy that, definitely. And the other thing is, did Allie plan, you know, for Bethany to be the, you know, to be in her place the entire time? It does kind of make sense if that's the truth, because I'm sure Allie would not want to die, obviously. So it does kind of make sense why that happened, definitely. I think that is definitely going to be very interesting. Apparently, someone's going to die next week. Someone's getting killed off. Now, who do I think is going to get killed off? Paige is definitely a suspect. Caleb is definitely a suspect, especially because we kind of wrapped up his storyline this episode, sort of. Mona is definitely a suspect. We had a huge scene with her in this episode, definitely. It's obviously not going to be one of the 4 liars. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they would go that far. But definitely, I don't think Allie's A. Who do you guys think is A? I don't think Allie's A. Obviously, it makes sense. Allie, I do not think Allie is A at all. I don't think Allie has anything to do with A, and I just don't think Allie's A. Melissa's not A. We know that. We know that Mona's not A. We now know these things. Also, is Allie gonna come back? You know, why did she just randomly leave? Why? There has to be a reason why Allie just randomly left. She wouldn't just randomly leave. There has to be a reason why she left. So, why did Allie leave Rosewood in the first place? You know, especially when A specifically said to her, "Do not leave Rosewood." You know, definitely does not make sense when that happens. And also, who is going to come? Is Allie going to come forward to Detective Tanner? Is that what's going to happen? I'm thinking that's going to happen next week. We'll have to see what happens there. Really hope Allie does not get killed off next week, because I really do love her character. Even though we're not really supposed to like her character, in my opinion, she's the best actress, she's the best character, and she's just the most interesting to watch, definitely. But that's it, my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of Finding Carter. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.